What's up YouTube, Barcode here, bringing you another episode of 7 Deadly Sins. This video is going to be about PvP Fight Festival, your free-to-play tips, tricks, and guide to get to at least Master. Let's go over the basics of Fight Festival, okay? Everybody should know by now, Elite is where gear is applied, Normal is where gear is not applied. Really, all you need to focus on as free-to-play is Normal for now. If you want to get into Elite later, you can. It's kind of for the whales. Also, the weekly rewards are meh, unless you're like top ranks, okay? Down at the bottom, there's no really good threshold. 140,000 gold for like gold 1 or 140,000 for plat 5. I mean, you can make that very quickly, like a couple runs of a book farm, okay? So it's not really important. 500 coins is decent, but I really think they should bump up Elite, because Elite is the best of the best gear, everything. Normal is where you want to be at for multiple reasons. It's easy to get into without gear. It's more about enhancing, evolving, limit breaking, and awakening your characters, okay? The weekly rewards is where it's at. The gems is what you want for whatever you want to do with them. Summons, energy, whatever. You should be able to get energy in other places, but this is where you want to be. If you want to get into high rank, free to play, normal, at least master, because that's what you're shooting for, you want to get into specifically uniques. Uniques are very important when it comes to free to play in the PvP Fight Festival. You need to think about first what the meta is, what characters are out there. Then you have to figure out what you've actually pulled, what you currently have in your hero box, and then you can counter what the meta is. We will talk about that pretty shortly, but first I want to talk about just more basics about PvP. You get 5 tokens, tickets to enter Fight Festival. They do reset every 5 hours, so make sure to capitalize on that. Let's talk about food. Food is very, very important. You should be eating it every single match. Depending on what your team comp is what you want to use, and where you are in the ranking, in the ladder, is what you want to choose as well. If you are just grinding your way to the top and you have no issues with getting first turn is very crucial and important to get. So if you are just blowing them out of the water with combat class, just use the festival food, okay? So you can get more coins quickly, okay? If you're getting to a point where you get like half and half combat class over the other opponent, then you want to go into things like HP percent food, or you want to get into attack percent food, or you want to get into the ultimate, the 1 orb ultimate gauge, okay? Or you even want to get into the evade gear, the evade food, okay? The steak and chips. But if you are losing on every single combat class, which is kind of like, I'm in the middle right now of whether I get first turn or second turn, then one of the biggest things is using the combat class. It might not help you stat-wise, but it'll help you get first turn, and first turn is pretty important. You can obviously win without taking first turn. It depends on your team comp. If you're running like a very tanky team comp like I am, then you can definitely let them take a first turn. A couple things to note with food as well, depending on what kind of, if you want to raise your combat class as high as possible, the biggest 2 things that you can do to raise your combat class is obviously the combat class by 10%. That raises it a ton, and also HP. HP is a huge boost in combat class. So I have that was the combat class. At first I had 8 already. It's like 93,000. The CC's at 89,000 with HP food, okay? Let's go into like attack, because that's another decent combat class, but 86,000, okay? Now if you get into like defense or anything like that, or resistance, or you know, defense is decent as well. It's a little bit higher than attack, but it also depends on what your team comp you're running and what their basic stats are. But if you go into like for example, like resistance, you're not getting a huge combat class boost from that. So you definitely want to focus either on HP or the combat class 10% if you need that extra boost in combat class. With me, I'm actually double dipping in what I want to do. I'm multitasking, okay? Because I'm running a very high HP based PvP team. And also, since the HP gives a boost in combat class, it helps me try to get that first turn. Before I get into uniques and the heroes that I have chosen for my PvP team, I want to get into the Fight Festival shot. Your main goal with the Fight Festival shot is to at least hit Master. That's your main goal, like I talked about before. If you hit Platinum is another good goal for you to have, but Master is definitely what you want to shoot for at the least. Let's talk about the things that you should buy and shouldn't buy in the Fight Festival shop. Okay, so like I said, Master is where you want to be, and Master because this is where you can start buying the weapons. Now, I would only buy your main characters. I wouldn't start buying every single weapon. You can at some points, but in the beginning, just buy the ones that are very crucial to your team. All the weapons here have a base stat of attack of plus 180, 2% crit, and 2% pierce. So that's very good. This is kind of why you want to shoot for that. It's better than most of the default weapon. Now your second goal, like I said, is to get into Platinum. Why? And that's because you can start buying SSR gear, of the gear that you cannot farm currently, okay? That's crit damage, crit defense percent, and then also the lifesteal, okay? So those are the pieces of gear that you cannot farm unless you've gold farm the equipment draw, the 10 equipment draw, okay? But this is where you can buy that. And really the only ones that you should be buying is at least at first the bracer, okay? And that's if you need these pieces of gear to complete whatever set you want to complete on your characters, okay? So those are the two main reasons why you want to get into those ranks. I want to talk about the things that you should not do in the Fight Festival shop. Definitely should not do, okay? Don't buy anything less than UR gear, okay? That's one thing that I've seen some people do because they're impatient. You have to be patient. This is a gacha game, right? You have to be patient. Second, don't ever buy these, okay? There's unless you have 1 million Fight Festival tokens left and you've maxed out everything else, don't ever buy these, okay? Why? Because for one, you can buy the 4-star ones cheaper, okay? There's 2 here, right? If you buy this 3 times to do an upgrade to a 5-star, that's 1,200 coins. What does this cost? 1440, okay? You can kind of say the same thing for this, okay? 400 for 2, all right? So if you go into silver and you look at this, okay, you get 3 of the 3 stars, 90 coins. If you buy this twice, that's 1 4-star coin, 180. So if you multiply that by 2, it's 360. Cheaper, okay? So if you plan on, which you shouldn't until you bought everything else, if you plan on buying these stones with your coins, you want to buy those first, upgrade them, and then go there, and then go there, okay? So these should be the last things you should do regardless, okay? Don't ever buy enhanced stones. You can get plenty of them just by farming, okay? Anvils are very important. They should be what you should be buying, okay? But that's after you buy the wines every single time, the wines. You want to buy the wines, okay? Every reset, buy 5 of them. You don't necessarily need to use them immediately unless you really want to push that rank. But that's an easy way to push into master really quick as well if you use those wines. Those wines will give you, I think it's 300% more rank when you win. If you lose, you obviously lose out. But if you win, you get higher rank. Let's get into some free-to-play teams that you can use in PvP, okay? First, you want to look at what you actually have drawn from summons, okay? And I'm talking specifically SSR. If there's anything you can do SSR-wise with a team comp for normal PvP, then definitely try to shoot for that. The main problem about free-to-play and SSRs is you won't be able to raise your ultimate skill all the way to max this early in the game, okay? Because you're free to play, you're not summoning as much as other people that have spent gems on summons, okay? And you know, the less summons you do, the less coins you get, so the less coin shop buys you can make, right? So it's very important to choose a very good team comp specific to that. All right, so let's get into what you have here. So as you can see, my box is limited. I have some test units in here that I want to test. There's also some characters down here that I am not touching at all. Just pointing that out there. Anyway, so Red Arthur, I pulled Red Arthur. Another SSR that I pulled. I did pull Gother, but I'm not using her in the case of this free-to-play video. It was on my second multi, so that's awesome. I planned on pulling just specifically for her, not for PvP. I mean, she's amazing for PvP, but I still feel like I can counter her without having her. However, she's just OP for PvE stuff, like guild battles, stuff like that, right? So you should definitely pull for her if you haven't. Red Guild Thunder is an amazing SSR that Guild Thunder is awesome, okay? I pulled Deanne, I pulled a Green Elizabeth, okay? There's some other SSRs too that I pulled. Red Bond, Green, I don't even think, was that even a pull anyway? Fat King, the Green Bond, and I think that's it for SSR wise. I want to build Green Bond, and that's specifically to counter Blue King teams, okay? Just counter Blue King in general, okay? Because Blue King is really one of the best free characters in the game. Like, he is the best free character in the game that the game gives you without you having to pull anything. I mean, if I had more of a team comp for fairy units, I specifically would use Blue King every single time. But there's, I mean, I plan on building a speed-based team to help with that. And I'll talk about that in a different video. But right now, so what I have is my main characters that I wanted to build with is Red Guild Thunder, because his taunt is awesome, and then also Red Arthur, okay? So then I looked into what they have in common, right? They're both human, and they're both strength, okay? So that's what I looked into. So when I look into something like that, then I look into their uniques, okay? Red Guild Thunder doesn't have a team-specific one, team-specific unique, but his unique is when he reaches ultimate full gauge, right? He has pretty much like 100% increase in resistance. And resistance, you can get your patience and miss attacks, so it's actually really good to have. So you can kind of counter just normal attacks, right? Red Arthur, he has a unique of all human allies, HP related stats. Okay, so that's good. They both have a commonality and working with his unique, okay? So then what I did there was look into what other humans I have, okay? And it took me forever to figure this out, but it's actually the helmet, okay? All right, so then I looked into all the human characters that I had and what I could use together as a team. This is kind of want to build a Green Bond as well, because I right now as a green unit to try to counter Blue King, I use Gustav. Okay, and Gustav, he doesn't hit hard, but his ultimate can hit pretty hard. and he has a freeze, okay? And his main big damage is just his 1-star, because his 2-star does the same amount of damage. It's 220%, it's pretty decent. His unique is really good, decreases all enemy resistance by this character's pierce rate. So I think in gear, you know, in elite battles and in PvE, he hits pretty decently hard, and can help your team out hit even harder. Okay, so I actually use him, and he's human, so that's awesome, right? I also for PvP wise, like I showed you my team anyway, so that's who I use to counter Blue King specifically, just to freeze him, whatever case may be. And then Red Griamore. I picked Red Griamore because I just had a lot. I have Blue Diane, and he has an association with her, right? So she does more damage. However, he's also human, right? And his unique gives all allies in PvP HP related stats by 15%. So it makes my team even more tanky, okay? So I get 15% in PvP. I also get, 15% for humans, right? So, so that's my initial team right now to help me kind of in PvE and PvP, right? I do plan on building Green Bond to kind of replace my Gustav. But I like Gustav because Gustav can be multi-situational. He can freeze Green Bond to get rid of my whole team extort. He can freeze Blue King. He can freeze Gother if she has full ultimate up. There's many different situations where the freeze is awesome, okay, and his ultimate is AoE. I'm also building for this team because of such of the Gother meta, right? And I don't have like a real sustain on my team as a human. I'm building Water Gilia. Why? Because she has an association with Red Gilthunder, which is my favorite character. But she also has a debuff and a heal that's based off of allies' HP, okay? And she's human, okay? So multiple different reasons why. And if she is not touched, okay, if she can be a threat, because if she is not touched, her ultimate gauge goes up a turn, which will do an AoE attack, which the damage isn't much, but it gives an ignite. And then if I use Gustav, her, and Red Gilthunder on team, have Red Gilthunder taunt all the time, she's not touched unless there's AoE, but then I can freeze Bond or any other characters that do AoE. She gets an extra ultimate gauge. She can heal and cleanse. Makes my team super tanky, all humans, if that makes sense, okay? Another character I'm thinking about is Druid Hendrickson. Why? Because he's HP related. He can increase his own pierce rate. His ultimate is an AoE. He has a heal with a rejuvenate. Rejuvenate is actually really, really underrated, I feel like, for a tanky team. And then he has a second AoE which cancels buffs and stances, okay? So that would be good for if I faced a Red Gilthunder or whatever case may be, or faced a Green Merlin, which you see all the time, to remove that, remove her barrier, right? You know, Red Arthur's all their buffs, even Red Gother, when she does rank up, and then buffs her whole team, that can eliminate that as well. So that's my free-to-play tips, tricks, and guide on Fight Festival to at least get to Master. Hope you enjoy this. Please like, comment, subscribe, hit that bell, and I'll talk to you in the next video. Peace.